Welcome, everyone. It's Donnell McAdams and Megan tonight. Sorry we were a few minutes late there. Our internet was not cooperating like it should. So hopefully we're good now. And trust me, this fabric is really pretty. It doesn't look that way on the screen there. But what I need to do first, I have got a 22 by 22 inch piece of fabric. And I need to find the middle of that. So let's just come down here and use our grid glider. I think I need to move it over just a little bit. I do happen to have 2 layers of batting. I don't have a backing on this. You'll see why later. And we're going to go the other way. And so let's get my ruler here. And I'm going to be able to use chalk. Forgot I just filled that. I'm so used to having to chalk a little heavier. So there's our center. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stitching with just a straight edge. I'm using a couple of other things, but just mainly our straight edge to create an angel. And I have my picture here that I need to kind of follow. So I need to come up about 3 inches. And no, there's not a handout tonight. So if you're wanting to keep notes, I'm about 3 inches up from the center there. And I need my, there we go. I'm going to use my circle, my 2-inch circle. Now, if you have the templates that are like the simple circle sets, you could use that. I'm going to use my 2-inch and my Echo guides. So let's get my Echo guides. And I don't want to take the 3/4 off. I'm just going to take it so it's a little bit smaller there. And if you've never used an Echo guide, they have a number. This means it's a 1/2 inch. And they have what's called an expansion slot. And so I'm going to put the expansion slot through that, or the thread through the expansion slot, lift up my foot and put it underneath there and pull tight on your thread so it doesn't get caught. And then just lower that foot again. And when I raise it up, I'm going to pull this up. Now, if your foot doesn't fit on the side that you can read it, like it falls off, then turn it over because it's smaller entry on the other side. Now, I need to get this straight above there, and I can tell that it's not. So there's going to be my center point there. Actually, I think 2.5 inches would have been, well, this is going to work because I've got that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle in that slot that's 3 inches above center. And I am using today a variegated pastel thread because it's going to look really good with this fabric.
So can you give a short little recap of what we're doing? Because some are they've had issues getting on and they're just now getting on. Just a little bit about what we're doing tonight.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to make an angel. I have to admit, I've never made it, but I've got the picture of it, and that should get me through this. So I pulled up my thread. I have 2 layers of a lightweight batting. So you can use 1 layer of a heavier one. You can do whatever you want. I don't have any batting or backing on the back. I will do that at a later point. I am using my 1/2 inch Echo Guide and a 2-inch simple circle. Now, if you have a smaller a set of simple circles, you can do whatever you want. I'm starting a 3-inch spot right above what's the center of your fabric. These pieces are 22 by 22. Just because I really think that I'm going to cut it down most likely to like 18 by 18. But I wanted to have enough space because, like I said, I've not done this before. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. So I pulled up my bobbin thread. I'm going around here. And in this case, I'm going to go twice. And I'm right back down to the center. So I'm not going to cut my thread or anything yet. I'm going to do a couple passes over it, and then I will be able to cut it because obviously once you've done several times over it, it's not going anywhere. I do not need my Echo Guide. So I'm going to leave that needle in, and I'm going to raise my foot and just push down on it and pull it out of there so that I can move on in the design without cutting my threads.
Hold on, I got him.
I just dropped my other 2 Echo Guides. And in this studio, if you drop it, it's fair game.
And say nobody can see it, but the cats just all came.
So
they were looking for what dropped.
Yeah. And so I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is turn it this way first. And we are going to make a straight line across this way. And I'm going to center it here with my centering ruler. And I'm going to stitch out to about, 3.5 inches on either side. Maybe 3. Let me see. Yep. Okay. It's going to be one of those days. Fortunately, I can just cut out that there and rethread. Something just doesn't feel right. You rethread or thread it again. Sometimes you just have to give it the kamikaze approach. It's still kind of acting up here.
So for when this happens to others out there, is the best thing to do to just unthread the whole thing and start over?
Well, I hope so, but I don't know so. Since it's giving me fits right now. Let's see, gotta thread it. It's just acting really strange. So right here's where it started. So I'll pull that thread up there because I don't want to not have it. I would have replaced my needle, except I just did that.
So while you're doing that, the question has come up that they've noticed that you don't have any backing fabric on this. So anything's different with that this night?
That's not causing my problem, and I didn't want a backing fabric on it because of the way I'm
why don't you have a backing?
because the way I'm going to finish it is a little different. So but if this doesn't work, maybe I'll put a backing on it. So I did 3 inches. And remember, I crossed over that, so we're good that way. And I'm going to, for this one, I am going to go ahead and draw this line. And then I'm going to put this beside here, and I'm going to use my 1/8 inch because I want it to be, this is my 1/8 inch, clear to the bottom. I want it to be just a little bit off center, but I really don't want, I know you can't see that, so. So I'm going to use the 1/8 right at the bottom of that because this I've determined is how long. Well, no, I don't want the 1/8 because that's going to come back in. So we will use, the 1/4 would be a straight. So I will use the 1/2 almost. So what I'm doing is this is a 1/2 inch and I'm coming in about that far. So it's more than 1/4. Let's just do a 1/2, make it easy. Now I want it the same on the other one, but that means to get it the same, I'm going to have to put it on this side and do the 1/2. Otherwise, it won't be the same. I want it starting from the spot where it was. So I'm going to hold this in place. So at this point, let's just go ahead and change the needle. Now this one, since I just put it in, it's going to go over here in the holding zone, which means if when I change it, it continues to do that, there's nothing wrong with that needle.
Can you show them, bring over the holding zone so they can see what you use? That's just fabulous.
It's nothing more than an eraser.
Linda wants to know if this is one of the metallic grunge fabrics.
No.
Okay.
Well, it very well may be now that I look at it. The bolt's over there, Megan, if you want to look at it. It was the end of a bolt. It's laying it right over there on top of my left and down. It's a 90 top stitch needle, so why I'm having the trouble, I don't know. And since I'm stopped, if you have the other piece of this, I will put it on the back. There were two pieces of it. Is it laying right there? Come a little farther.
You only gave me one.
That's correct.
So I will iron this and get it for you.
She's going to press it, so.
Oh, that's all I got.
Well, then it's not the other piece. There are two pieces somewhere.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I'll press it.
While she's over there, let me show you what I'm headed towards. So that's what I'm trying to make so that you get an idea of it. So if you're wondering, in her wings, there are 8. And in her skirt or gown, robe, there are 12. So it should not make any difference. But anyway, if it does, we have a back now. And someone asked what the back was. It's Shimmer by Timeless Treasures.
And another question, what is your measurement from the head down? What was that length?
Six and a quarter. So I'll give it another chance. It just doesn't, the tension's just acting crazy. So I'm just going to try a different bobbin. It's the same thread, it's just a different bobbin. We'll see what happens with that. Not that I was really feeling any problem with the bobbin, it was more the top thread. And this is that point where you just have to really, really, really work with your patience. I think you remember I had this on the opposite side. And this is going to be a little tricky. The reason I turned it around is because I don't have my foot there to put this up against, and we went at a little bit different angle. So I'm going back first and then come up to here, and we'll turn it back around. And remember I said there were, and I backstitched here, went both ways. Remember I said there were 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them like fan out like this much, and this will come up. Each one gets a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to work on one side first. And I am going to be using it at a 1/2 inch now. And so just because I know me, I need to make a mark. And I'm just going to put it like right there so that I stop. Well, I think I know what the problem is now. So let me show you what happens here. Because I had this, if you were watching me the other day when I did this with this thread, I figured out what solved the problem. I hate that it's doing that. You think I've done too much that I really couldn't change to just white?
No.
Probably, because I did this one. So I'll keep the thread and I'll show you what I found worked the best for the solution. So my needle is up right now, and I'm just kind of flossing in between there just to make sure there's nothing at that point. Pull my needle or my take-up lever, clear up. So what happens on some threads, when you're doing ruler work, they do not like to stitch in the reverse position. So we're going to have to turn each time, which won't be that big a deal. But I think that's going to be the solution to our problem. I sure hope it is. So up. I just don't understand this. It's just those, you guys can see that it's just really hard to pull, and it's not caught anywhere. Now, what I'm doing right now, I would not do, except for the fact that I don't want to waste any more of your time, because I just wasted quite a bit of thread in doing that. But if it works, it'll be great. But if it doesn't, this will keep you on your toes, because at one end I'm doing a 1/2 inch, and the other end I'm doing a 1/4. So I'm just coming up about a 1/2 each time to make the dress shorter, or the robe, I should say. Oh, see, I forgot, and it did it. So that proves what we're saying. Did you see that, Megan?
I did not. I was reading the comments. So tell me what happened.
The thread broke again because I went backwards.
Okay.
So it proved what I was trying to say, because the other two, I finished this one, did that one with no problem, and then this
Because you
broke.
turned it around.
Because I didn't turn it around.
Well, the first one worked because you turned around. This
Correct.
one didn't because okay.
So on this thread, I don't know if you learned anything, but I obviously did. You cannot sew in the reverse position. So let's just remember that. And maybe if you yell at the screen, I'll hear it, but I doubt it.
Okay. Well, that really nastied up your thread.
Yep. Because it's a difference in the needle leads when I'm sewing towards me, but the thread leads when I'm sewing away. And so therefore it gets nasty.
Do you think it's a certain brand of?
It's obviously, it's probably got to do with that. Yes, because this is the thread I had trouble with the other day.
So could you tell us what the thread is so that they know?
I will tell you yes, but I would not hold it against that. But what I want to say with it is, this is why you need to keep yourself a little notebook, so that I may want to use this again, but I've got to remember when I'm going in a certain direction, it's not happy. Now, I have to say, I tested this thread before we started, but I did not necessarily go a long distance in reverse, which I really should have, I guess. So there's my bobbin thread. There's my top thread. Well, my top thread's right here. So what have I got? There we go. Now I've got both of them. Okay. So put my needle in, turn my machine around, or no, that would be difficult. Superior Rainbow polyester. Rainbow's the color. So glad I did that. All right. I'm coming back. Just these few stitches and turning it around. Spacing gauge, there it is. And coming back to the top. Okay. Trying to remember here everything along the way. Now I got a piece of lint in there. So at the bottom, we're going to move over a half. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 2 more to go. I'm going to bring it up not very much this time. I'm not going to make it that much shorter. So hopefully, even though this was kind of a rough start, well, did my thread break again?
Yeah, it went up in your intake.
Well, this way I'm going to change that. My tension is what I just changed, because that was a clean break. I remember that's a piece of lint that's on there. Yeah, that's what happened there. So what happened here was I have the thread and I don't have real handy because I'm just a straightforward person like this. I don't have real handy here a thread net. So I put it on a different auxiliary spool pen and it wrapped around the bottom. So let's see how we go here. It's just one thing after another with this thread, I guess. And then now my bobbin thread wants to be contrary.
Man, your machine just does not want you to sew at this really pretty angle.
It's not actually the machine. So all right, back up here, it's 1/4 of an inch. Nope, it's beside the foot and 1/2 inch. There we go. Yeah. think it's one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Okay, so now to get this on this side to match over here, we'll do this. And then I want to remember what I did from here to here was a 1/2 inch. Okay, but can I do that on this? No, I got to do it the other way. So right here to right there. Now at the top, this is going to look like you're headed nowhere, but and I did something wrong, but I'm leaving it. Well, mine's not going to be a pretty sample, but you'll get the idea of it because I've had it with the thread. I'm not doing anything else with it. It's not acting, and I'm going to give it a 2 thumbs down. So I'm not going to be able to use this project, but at least I'll get it so you can finish yours if you're going to do it. Unless she's a really modern angel and has a 2-tone dress, I guess. So I put on my glide thread. I don't have any trouble with glide thread. And if I do, I don't know what the real problem is. So we're up here. So we're going to come down this way. And I think you can see that this is a little closer. Well, maybe it's not. So I guess we're okay. So this one, we're moving up to here.
They're all saying they would have thrown it in the trash by now with all the issues. So don't worry. They understand. They want to see your design.
I do too. Because see, I'm trying to think how I get this come this way. Still think it's this. So that's where I'm going to stop. I'm using a 1/2 inch from the one before. Here we go. Now, just because I'm that person, we're going to test this one in reverse. See, if I'd have been using this all along, we'd have been finished and on to the next part. So when I do this, I'm taking this ruler and I'm putting it straight on the line that I had before and straight across from where I'm going to end this one. I have a line in between there. Uh-oh. Well, her dress didn't get hemmed even. Sounds to me like she's going to be a fallen angel. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh my goodness.
See, that's too long there, you guys. And I don't have a marker this color to cover it up. Whew. She got her dress. And it really doesn't look too bad, to be honest.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, now on her arms here, her wings, the one in the middle is going to be the longest. So we're going to have one come out probably about 1/4 of an inch, and I'll just use my foot. And then another one about the same. And then the third one's going to come out longer, and then they're going to shorten back up, with the last one being right even with this in kind of an arc. So again, I think I told you there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the wings and 12 in the dress. All right, so this one here is going to come out. And this is going to be the longest one. So I'm going to measure for sure on this. So I'm going to come out to about 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 3.5. Remember, you're putting your ruler against that to get it away from here. That distance away from there. I like it. Isn't it amazing, the difference in the thread? Now this for me is the easier side. And we're going to try and make it the same. So I've got a 1/2 inch here, and it's going to come out. Whoa, there we go. That didn't make sense, Donnell. No, that does not make sense at all. I guess I'll still have to do it this way. If I didn't do it this way, I'd have to do it in the back so that it would work. And this one's just a smidge longer. And then the next one is just a smidge longer than that first smidge. And then this one is the longest one. And then this one comes back. Six. All right. So since there's so much stitching in there, I'm just going to do a few stitches and cut it. And then not really believing myself I'm saying this, but I don't have anything that will really make her a halo. So I am going to draw it on there. I have starched this, so it's not going to be a problem. I should have Megan draw this. Or maybe she shouldn't get a halo since she misbehaved here.
Hey, now.
And I'm going to switch my top thread to a gold. And this is going to be my debut appearance with doing something free motion. It may not be the best. Who knows? But it's small, it's easy, and I should be able to do it. Because I don't think I just want to bend a pipe cleaner and glue it on there. Megan snorted on that.
They're rooting for you on your free motion.
You better. I got to get it lopsided. It's a little bit
Okay,
lopsided.
Jenny, before you start that, Jenny says, could you use the Spin Effects 1 Mini?
Yeah, you probably could. Now, what I want to do here is I don't want to start on an end because it'll end up looking like a football. So I'm going to start in the middle. I've got a little tiny piece underneath here. There we go. And I'm going to put that foot back down, that needle back down. And here we go. I hope Kate Quinn or Ann Moore's not watching because they're good at this and I'm not. It's getting worse and worse and worse, you guys. But anyway, I can always take it out.
It's not bad.
And do what she said, Spin Effects 1, because it's a little oval. But that's not bad. She's got her little halo there.
That's cute.
So take her, give her a little ironing. And
Okay.
where's my other two pieces?
Right
Okay.
there.
So now what I'm going to do, Megan has heavily starched these two pieces. It would probably be a good idea to go ahead and put a lightweight fusible interfacing on the back. But I didn't have time to run to the shop and get that. I always say run to the shop. It's my warehouse. I ran to the shop for 35 years. It's hard to break. Now, I'm going to be doing a circle. So I'm using my circles on quilt. So I don't really need to take off this back one. I just need this. And if you've never seen this, this has this sticky back here. This is all clear. You can't hardly see it. I put a piece of tape and a piece of paper on there so I can see that. Now, I am going to make a frame. Megan, how tall is that?
How tall is this angel?
Mm-hmm.
Let me measure her.
Don't forget that beautiful halo.
I won't. She is 9 inches from halo to hem.
Okay, that makes sense because I said a mark 3 inches and then, so she's 9 inches. So I obviously want this to be bigger than that, the opening for it. So I'm going to make it 11. How's that sound? That'd be like
on the top and the bottom.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Okay. So I'm going to make this 11. And I'm going to take these 2 gold pieces. They are gold. And I'm putting them right sides together. Now, another thing that will help is I can't offset them for grain, but I can offset them for one grain versus the other. Your cross grain, in other words, from the selvage, has more stretch in it than your vertical grain. Or your, I mean, this is what we would call the cross grain. Actually, these 2 pieces, I still can tell because this is a selvage edge right here. So this one, I'm going to put this way so that they will kind of stabilize each other as if I had put them offset totally. All right. So here we go. I need to find the center of this. And I'm just using my ruler on my table. And that's why I cut this so big. Man, I hit that nail right on the head. So if you've never used the circles and straights, that's in place. I need to put back to just a regular straight stitch. I need to change my foot. And we are going to make a frame around my angel. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave that gold thread in there because I'm working on a gold fabric. I would not sew with this, but to just do what we're doing right now, it will work fine. And I'm just using a regular all-purpose foot. And like I said, you could have backed this piece or the other piece, depending on which one. It should be which one you're going to have on the front. Put the foot down. We're at a regular stitch.
Just to clarify, is this 11 or 11 and a half from the pen?
11. Well, no. It is this distance from here to here is 5.5. But on the circles and straights tool, it's marked at 11. If you're measuring out or using this green one, it's at 5.5. Great question. But the markings on the circles and straights tools are there. So all you have to decide is how big of a circle. We wanted an 11 inch. And so all we have to do is put it on the 11. Otherwise, you are going to measure your diameter. Now, I'm not going to back stitch this, but I'm going to make sure this comes right back to where it starts. And then I'm going to just overlap the stitching. Okay, I'm going to give it a cut. I'm going to take my pen out. I'm going to leave that there for just a second because I'm not sure which way I might want to do something. Is your iron on over there?
It is.
Okay. So what you have to remember on this is we're cutting out the middle. So I'm going to give myself a little snip just so I can get those scissors in there.
And you cut through both layers.
I'm cutting through both layers. And I'm using my pinking shears. So we're going to go around here. It's a little bit opposite from what you've done probably in the past, but we're making a frame.
I'm so curious how this is going to end up on the...
I am too.
Because you've sewn them together.
What am I creating this, Megan? A hole.
Yeah, but...
So
you've
I'm
got
going to
the-
flip one through the other.
My brain doesn't comprehend it right now, so it'll be exciting to see. It's like a magic trick.
Now I'm going to save that. That's 11-inch circle twice there. There's probably a lot of things I can do with that. And then what I have to do is we are going to turn this inside out.
Oh.
So I'm pulling what was on the top side to the back. And we're creating a frame. Can you hold
I
that?
see it now. And then do I get to go press this?
No, I think I'm going to use my iron right here so they can see what you need to do. So I'm going to take that off. I'm kind of laughing at myself. Like I thought I could do that and top stitch this with the circle. What am I going to pin to?
That is kind of funny.
Well, we aim to entertain. And I think we have tonight. So, why'd you leave that drawer open?
Because you kept losing your circle tool. So.
Oh, well, that can be put up. So I am only using this because you're going to be able to see it better, but I've got a mat underneath it to protect my table. So what I want to do,
So you get situated on, I can move it over.
okay. So I'm just going to pull that to get a small area just like I want it. And believe it or not, this is pretty easy if you use your pinking shears. It will lay pretty flat. So just work with a small area or section at a time. And if you've got interfacing on there, it'll lay even better. but just make sure it's a lightweight. And then when we put this back on that other piece, we could either, top stitch close to this, which is what I'm planning to do. If you have a favorite decorative stitch or something, you could do that. But you want to have your angel as your center of attention. And you can see now why I kind of went with a bigger, because I'll be able to place this on that other piece how I want it. Obviously, after I've done this one, I will now know a little bit more about how big I really need it and where I need to put the pen and that kind of thing. And for those of you that have these wool mats, you will know how nice they are to do good pressing, just like that. That's just super flat there. It's because of the way the wool and the heat work together to do a better press. And I ordered something to show you, but it's going to come on Monday. So I'm just going to tell you about it now. It's by, I'm not even sure, but it's a cleaner for your wool mats. And I'm anxious to get that because I've got some threads that are embedded, and I've tried to use I started to say curling iron, my lint roller to get them off, and it just doesn't take everything off. But this new mat cleaner will do that. So you want to take this and set it right over there.
Go around this way.
And you press this, my angel.
I did.
So here's our angel. Poor baby with her halo, whatever. I might just put some.
I think it looks like
You
you
know
drew
what?
it on. I like it.
I think I might just put some like rhinestones or something
No.
on it. Because here's what you're going to do. You're just going to put this where you want it, how you want it. Get it centered in there. And make sure you have a big enough space so you can get it all nice and flat. Now I can tell that's not centered.
I can tell it's a little lopsided.
Might have been good to mark some marks on the center of that circle. Needs to go up a little bit. Just don't really have enough space here to work on it. There we go. That looks pretty good, don't you think? Does it need to go to the right?
I think it needs to go to the right.
To the right, to the right, to the right. Is that better?
Yeah.
More? A little bit.
I mean, we could measure if you really want to.
Measure.
You know, that thing. Use a thing called a ruler. They're really excited about this circle idea. A lot of them said this could be a interesting way for many projects that they've done.
Yeah, and the other thing with it is obviously we can't do anything but circles, but you could do an oval by drawing it, stitching on it, and turning it the same way. I mean, I've done this with squares before too. I think that looks pretty good, Megan.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do now is put some pins in it just to hold it in place. Because we got quite a few layers going on here, and I don't want it to. You could do a stitch that goes out into this area if you wanted. I'm going to just do a top stitch around there.
Sorry, guys, I forgot to move you.
And honestly, you guys, this is a pretty cool thing to then just take and get core board. Core board is it's core board, but it will be strong enough. And that's why I wasn't going to put a back on it. And I really don't think I would have needed a back. I just was trying everything when we had all those issues. But anyway, I was going to just staple this to a piece of core board and then actually frame it. So you could, get a frame for it. You want to get this good and flat in here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how I want to do my straight stitch around there to get it to the point where, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my needle over to the right, to the left, Donnell, that's the left. Okay. And then go ahead and put that down in there. Yep. I won't make any mistakes because I did not thread my needle. Now, on mine, when I select a stitch that's not a ruler work stitch, my feed teeth automatically come up and all that. But you might have to do that to get your teeth up. Now you could also get some of that like bias, excuse me, bias tape that already has cording attached to it. And you could stick that in underneath here so it would have a cording that was around there. There's all kinds of things that you can do to embellish this. Now my intent was to also like stitch out to the corners so it was like rays. And you could do that too. You could do that with just your foot like this, or you could use your ruler work stuff to do that. You could do a design in the corner. I'm getting pretty thick here. I mean, the fabric. So you would definitely, if you were going to continue to do ruler work, you're going to have to adjust for that. But the thing that's cool about this is since I use 2 layers of fabric, you can see, well, you probably can't right there. I'll get it around here. But it's really puffing up. It's just, it's really enhancing that.
I like this different technique because it gives you a more finished edge on the inside of your circle. They could have just done template and put it on top and
yeah,
cut it out too.
and sure, and that would have made, you could have cut it out and then done your angel in that opening. But this just makes it a little bit more finished. I don't know whether I want to say stately or what, but it just really helps to keep everything.
Linda wants to know, how far from the edge are you stitching right now?
I am less than 1/4 of an inch. I'll show you here in a second.
It didn't look like 1/4, but it looks bigger than an 1/8, so I was right.
Now I'm just using my finishing button on my machine that'll go up and down in the same place. And stop, and then all I have to do. So again, I overlapped and then used my finishing button because I don't want a big old spot there. So you can see that now you could, do some other things out in here. You could do some straight lines that just radiate from the center. You can leave it just like this, put it on that core board. You want to pull that up so they can see the whole thing. But let me show you this. That's how that, it's just about 1/8 of an inch. And I just use my needle position. So I just move my needle over. So any questions? I'm glad I got the thread changed, but honestly, I don't think you can really tell it.
I don't think you can either. And I kind of like the few that are there because it does kind of give it some color, but
Okay, so let me show you again my picture that I had found that I wanted to, I think it pretty much looks like that, except for the halo. So you could make it any size you want. Like Megan said, she measured from there to there. It's 9 inches, and we left a little bit extra around there. You could even do more circle decoration around here if you wanted. I'm even wondering if we could find, like if we found the center here, I should have marked that. And then you could set this up and do decorative stitching around this to have more. But you know, sometimes less is best. You know, not a whole bunch of this. If I was going to mount this on a core board and frame it, I've still got a lot. Going to hand me one of my rulers over there? Because I can't. Oh, I'll just be in their way. So if that's about the center, I've still got, so this could be 18 by 18 easily. If you wanted to make it, you know, a little bit more, there is more fabric underneath there, but that was my goal, was to make it about 18 by 18. So I think I could easily do that.
So are you going to finish it as a square or as a circle?
I'm going to finish it as a square.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning to finish this as a square.
And then would you bring the back green fabric to the front for your binding?
I was going to staple it to a core board and frame it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've been saying that. Now I get
Yeah,
it.
an
Okay.
actual frame. I was actually going to put this in a frame.
Okay.
So
then would you technically then need to finish it? You just put stitch a square around?
all I would do would be cut this 18 by 18, my core board 18 by 18, and get a frame for it.
Okay.
And for those of you that aren't aware, you can have rather inexpensively frames put together in whatever size you want at Hobby Lobby. So it's not, you know, and sometimes they have half price framing and whatever. If you even wanted to put a mat in this, you could do that. And before you cut it, you may want to go someplace, a framing place, and ask them some options. But I was just trying to do something that obviously took way too long in the beginning. But now that we know what it is, it won't be hard at all. And I would suggest that you can, like I've told you the measurements of how far I came down, you could even make your own little template that just has little holes in it where you could put your marker, and it would be easy to lay that down and repeat it.
So the questions come for this layer here. Would you want to cut this away from the back?
You can. The reason I wouldn't is when you go to staple this down, then there's nothing holding this stuff here. And if this is anywhere that's going to shadow through, it'll shadow through. So I would not cut this underneath here off. Like I told you, you could have a fusible on the back of this. It really didn't need it. And if I push this out far enough, maybe you guys can see how the depth is showing, because it's just kind of really indented here because of the fact that we have a lot of difference in the thicknesses. So
if you were going to frame it, you wouldn't probably put glass or any sort of front to it, because then that would kind of lose the depth. Okay.
I don't think you would have to. I don't think you would, really need to at all. I am thinking with my gold thread, it might be pretty to do a stitch inside here. Let me look a second before I let you go. all kinds of fun little things we could do, but let's see, that one that we've used before. Those are harsh.
Mm-hmm. Need like a curly something.
No, I'm just going to leave it. If I decide, I would want to test it. If I decide to do something, then I'll show you, later what that comes out like. But you want to, do something in there, you certainly can. I want to take a second to remind you that we're going to have a New Year's Eve party, and that will be on December 30th instead of the 31st. It will be at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and I don't know what time in Australia or the UK. We will be sending out, people have requested some recipes again, so we'll get the recipes. You'll be able to sign up on SoStudy, and then when they send you, they'll send you what those are, or at least a place. If you're wanting to do the recipes, then they'll definitely have a way to link to that. Kate Quinn is joining us. Stacy's going to have prizes. She's going to be with us. And so we're going to have a good time. I think we'll end up with 2 projects. I don't know what they're going to be. I know what mine's going to be. I don't know what Kate's is going to be. But we're going to have fun. And obviously, most of you are just going to want to watch us as we're doing it. And then you can do that on your own. But they wanted to join this year. Actually, I coerced them. Not really. It was easy. I asked them to join me because I know how much fun we have. So if you're wondering what you're going to do on the Friday night before New Year's and New Year's Eve, you'll be with us. So thank you all for joining me tonight. I hope that I didn't go crazy on you or make you go crazy, but have fun. Have a great week this week in preparation for the holidays, for before Christmas. And just remember, what doesn't get done, don't worry about it. Okay? What doesn't get done, don't worry about it. I was watching a show last night where they had done a survey, and they said the one of the foods that people, how was it? It was, what is the most popular Christmas dessert? And of course, everybody was saying different things. They all thought that it was a gingerbread cookie, and it was actually, you guessed it, a chocolate chip cookie. So I was thinking about that because we all have our things we make all the time. And it's like, okay, we know when we go to Donnell's house for Christmas Eve, this is what you're going to have. But, it's the easiest way to do it. People expect it. They kind of get to the point. But I did learn on that survey, don't make any persimmon pudding. People didn't want that. And don't think you're trying to serve fruitcake. So just a little funny there, the way it is. I won't be seeing you again until New Year's Eve. So everyone have a great, blessed Christmas, and we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.